See? I think I. So, what's the title of the show today?
Classism.
Classism, as best as we can. Yeah.
All right. Y'all could look for it and share it.
Wow.
What? Oh, jeez.
Sorry, under the rug.
All right. All right. Welcome back Under the Rug. For those of you that may be tuning in via Facebook, do not adjust. This looks very familiar, but this is not that show. This is not the Entrepreneur podcast, which we just wrapped up yesterday. But I do have my fellow co-hosts of that show joining me under the rug. And Travis Miller, been ducking me for how long I've been doing Under the Rug now? It's been a year, Gail.
Wow, for real?
A year.
Wow.
Travis been ducking the show. And I finally got him to come under the rug so we can have a serious discussion on a serious issue. Gail, you're ride or die. You're a road dog from way back when you started off. You kick it off. You do a lot of early episodes, but you ain't been on for a minute.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah, you've been.
I was giving other people a chance, you know. They get tired of your face and your voice and things, so.
All right. Well, that's rather considerate of you.
Thank you.
Yes, I appreciate that consideration. But this topic, I actually, while we were doing Entrepreneur yesterday, we had an interesting discussion after the show. And I said, while we were talking, I was like, man, this is a whole episode right here. We just giving away this good information and they ain't recording it.
We was keeping it to ourselves.
Yeah, but we
should give it away.
Yes, we should, because it was a very, very interesting discussion. And I think you guys were, kind of opening up a little bit, which is not quite common,
I mean, outside of the context of entrepreneurship, but,
Yes.
Things, like life things.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're happy to.
Real things.
Yeah, real things. Yeah, it was quite interesting. And I think what kicked it off exactly was, Gail, I think you were telling us a story, the Camp Road story.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you don't mind, please give us a run over that story once again, and then we'll get right back into that discussion.
Okay, well, the story was about doing some work with a charity recently. And we were basically going into areas of Nassau, New Providence that are obviously in need or in obvious need. And by that I mean, maybe 2 or 3 houses are in the yard. The houses may not be in the best condition. Roads may be dirty or unpaved, etc. And it's a way that looks.
Right.
So those were the communities that we were trying to go into. One of the communities was off of Camp Road, and it was a very different experience for me.
Okay.
Because in the way that I was raised and the way that my parents raised me, I was not exposed to certain things. One of them being the way people live in that particular area. To be, frank.
Right.
I mean,
my father was born in a house. He'll tell you he's born in a house off Wolf Road on Roll Street, I think he says. Right? So he has had that experience and he'll tell us that he knows what it is to be hungry, or he knows what it is to have 4 or 5 siblings sleeping in the same room, or he knows, what it is to really struggle. And so I strongly believe that his goal with his children was to allow them to live a better life than he had to live as he was being raised. And so that was my kind of thinking as to why I may not have been exposed to that particular situation that I viewed off Camp Road, which I'll eventually get to, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So so we were off in the area handing out the lunches, and first of all, it was obviously after a funeral because everybody had on the T-shirts with the person's face on it, and the rest in peace, sunrise, sunset, etc. And then there was a line of plastic chairs on the side of the road.
Okay.
And it was a scene that you would most likely see in a backyard, let's say, or that I am accustomed to seeing in a backyard. But it was on the side of the street, and you would cross the road and get your food, and music was playing and so on. And everybody I was engaging in illegal. I don't know if I would say, all of that, right?
It, man. Everybody had a joint in their
This
hand.
happened,
That's what
okay.
you tell us yesterday.
Thank you.
Everybody had a joint.
Thank you, Greg.
Big bowl on the
'Cause,
road.
yeah.
Everybody lighting up and smoking their joint in the road.
Yeah, and then they also had their bear, and they was just living. But they did take the lunches from us, which means to me that, okay, this is the food that they have now, but in terms of maybe later on, or kids, or whatever the situation may be, they still needed what we were distributing. Right?
They had joint and Guinness, though.
Well, we don't know what that whole situation was because that's a communal thing.
Okay, okay.
Right? So maybe the persons who were in charge of organizing the event in memoriam of so-and-so may have thrown this party and had liquor and other paraphernalia available. But I'm not sure if that's the case. Again,
Right.
I'm only speculating. But I said all that to say it was kind of a shocking thing to me that this happens here because that's not part of my reality or my perception based on life experiences. And I just thought to myself, is this still Nassau? Like, is this still New Providence? And a lot of people that I have interacted with have had, that's reality for them.
Yep, every day.
That's their everyday. And it's one thing to know it exists, but to actually be there, and you're not just driving through like a shortcut to get to the other main road. Like you are in there. You are in there for an extended period of time. It was, I mean, we spent maybe 10 minutes in the community in that particular area, right? But it's there.
Right.
It's right
You're in
there.
it.
It's not an area you avoid or you dodge, like you right in there. And so that sort of reality was a little, in the moment I was like, wow, because I don't know that.
So that was the first time you ever experienced
No, I
that
mean,
sort of...
No, but it was probably.
I've
more
had the
times you were aware of
experience.
it. Like, I mean, like at that moment.
I'm at a different level now.
Yeah.
Like we did a lot of work in a church. We used to go to church in Adelaide Village, which is another sort of community, and also being in the ghetto in the States, which is a whole different type of ghetto. And then being in areas here, because like I said, when my dad grew up, his aunts and uncles and stuff, we still have family in those particular areas. So he brought us around. He wanted us to make sure we knew our family. So I've been exposed, but now I'm on a different level of consciousness
You have a different
where I
perspective.
realize what's going on, So I think that's what made it a little different for me this time.
Yeah, and I was joking. I said if you didn't turn around when you saw all the people line up in the street, because I would have done a nice 180 and turned around.
It was a good group of us. Like if it was like 1, 2, 3 people, nah.
You wasn't going.
I know, unless somebody in the car knew some. I don't.
Well, either way, that led to me basically saying that I was going to put my daughter in, let's just say, for a more privileged environment when it comes to education. So in more of the...
You spend more money.
Yes, I was going to spend more money to put her in the schools that I guess some people would consider elite or
Fancy.
bougie, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Based on the price.
Right. And Gail was kind of opposed to that. She was like, no, don't do that. And we got this. That's where the discussion really, started to go. Yeah, started to go deeper because I wanted to know why is it that you felt that I shouldn't put her in that environment? Please.
Okay. So yeah, run on again.
Yes. Tell us exactly why don't you feel that would be a good environment for me to put my child or anyone, like if whoever to put their child in that kind of environment?
First of all, I went to private school all of my life. I was afforded that opportunity by my parents, but I went to 2 very different private schools.
Okay.
I spent the majority of my formative years at Lyford Key School. That's from grade 2 to grade 9. And the only reason why I did leave, well, one of the main reasons was that the school did not actually have a grade 10 at the time. So
It was just junior high?
yeah, it was up to that point. And they actually moved from grade 6. We watched them go from grade 6 to grade 9, and then they were trying to go to 12. And so our class would have been the first grade 10 class. But at that point, everybody went off to boarding school, except Gail. So I was then sent to St. Anne's School in Fox Hill. Big up the Blue Waves.
All the Blue Waves in the building.
But that shift from far west to far east was a culture shock for me.
Why? Like, tell us about what was shocking when it comes to the Life with Key experience.
Okay, personally, let's say, right, Life with Key. I don't want to call these names. Okay, let's say the Western School.
Man, listen, Life with Key, go ahead.
The Western
You already
School,
say you've been there.
the Western School, for example, you skinny is a good thing. The Eastern School, you po, you bony. It's not attractive to be skinny
It's just different dualities.
at the other school. The Western School, I'm dark skinned.
Okay.
The Eastern School, I'm light skinned / white,
Okay.
which is never part of my reality. So
Okay.
what else? It's like these little cultural things that you don't even know exist here
Or it could be
are
at first.
exposed
Yeah.
by these different environments or these different cultures. So with me talking to you about, you sending your daughter to one of the more perceived privileged schools or whatever the case may be, being in that environment and not being of that environment can warp your perception of everything around you and life in general. Because I am not affluent. My parents are not affluent. They're very hardworking people. And my mother is a teacher. My father works for himself. And that's how they planned. And they had to plan a lot to do what they did in terms of our schooling. And
Right.
so coming from that and being in an environment where people's parents don't have to plan a year in advance on how they can pay a school fee.
Okay.
They pay for
Interesting.
the year already,
Right.
Realities.
Or you got parents picking your kids up from school in golf carts. I never seen a golf cart before in my life till I reached there, right? But they know about that. They probably grew up on a golf course somewhere or something. I don't know. Or like, we talked about the yachts, going on the yacht for so-and-so birthday, and that's a normal event. Stuff like that. I think what I mentioned was the concentration of affluence to just being, I guess, middle class was high. So it's kind of like I was surrounded by people who had that experience. So let's say 90% of the people, because there were some students like me who came, I was on scholarship too. So they came on scholarship, and of course all of us were black, and we're in that environment. And then
Boy, Gail,
it's
you
almost
tap dancing knees for Michael Bottom shoe, boy. Boy, you tap dancing.
so when I tap dancing around,
You dancing around, man.
I'm trying to build something here.
She's expressing what it is as she could try to
Going on the other side, it's like not that high concentration of affluence. You have more of a mix. There were some people that were wealthy in the school, as well as we had the opposite end of the spectrum, where there were some people who I know were in children's homes and stuff like that, like had a really bad home experience. But we're all in the same pot. But it wasn't as stark a difference based on who was around, because some of us were, from here and related. Some of us were here from related, etc.
And the things that you thought wouldn't have been a difference became a difference in that different context.
I didn't even know that difference even existed.
Right.
Yeah.
Until you got put in that
Yeah.
put in that position where it was challenged almost, or people I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, please, break it down.
So to me, my kind of perspective is a little bit different, but it's still a combination of a lot of things. Like both my parents, they came from very humble beginnings, and they worked to build the life that I kind of knew for the majority of my life. And for the most part, I went to one school. I went to Kingsway Academy from elementary to high school. So that really didn't change too much. But during that period of time, you definitely start to notice through socializing with these different kids from these different backgrounds, different perspectives on life. So again, kind of going on what Gail was talking about with going on the yacht every week. I mean, you see less of that in elementary, but more for me at least. But it was kind of almost like, oh, Sala, we're going by Jimmy's house or whatever like that, or by Susie's house, But then you realize when that rotation comes around to you, you don't really have as nice as a house as Jimmy, those with like 18 porches and all those different
18
things.
porches.
So at that stage, you kind of understand, okay, something's a little bit different. Something's not like the average, you might be getting $2 for lunch, but someone might be getting $10 for lunch type of thing. So you start to notice those things. Do they necessarily affect you? Yes and no. It doesn't stop your everyday life, but you tend to notice. I guess that's where you kind of get the sense of what privilege is before that name was thrown around. Where people see like privilege on a day-to-day basis. But again too, and I'll say this to say, like, we ourselves compared to different environments would be considered privileged as well too. Like, I went to a good school. I had the opportunity to go to university. I don't discount those facts at all whatsoever. And my parents worked their ass off in order to give me the opportunity to do those things. And I'm grateful for that almost every day.
Almost every day.
Almost every
At least
day.
you're honest.
Because it's been situations too. Like I said, my parents worked hard, especially in the part of getting me to university.
Did they hold that against you or something?
No, they don't hold that against me. But it was during that point where, like, 2007, 2008, when things really went downhill, and it was a conversation where, like, do I finish university? And in my mind, the logical thing for me was to be no.
Right.
But my parents pushed me to finish. Does that necessarily put us in a good place? Or, like, you don't know how life will turn out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still did it. And I don't, even though I am thankful that it was the opportunity to graduate, there's always something like, okay, could I have been where I am today if we took less of a risk to do that type of thing? That's me on a personal level. But in the context of, like, growing up in that elementary to high school thing, you have kids who have bigger family businesses and all that stuff, and who are able to do these things, like go on a yacht or on a boat to Sandy Tours every week to do these things, and you necessarily don't do those things. Not as a combination of not wanting to do it and not being able to do it at the same time. But where I resonated with Gail when we talked about it yesterday is that you start to learn the differences, and you kind of learn where you are in that ecosystem, or how you kind of live. But it's hard because it's not like it was a do or die thing. Like, you were middle working class, so you don't hang out with the rich people. It was never like that. But it was just always weird when conversations came up in terms of, like, what you could and what you couldn't do, or like, oh, my parents went to Rome this summer, and you'd be like, oh, my parents
did not
type of thing.
Okay.
So, and that goes on. That is a real thing, and I think with the different classes of society that we have here, that's an actual real thing. To us, more on a different level. Like, again, we have these different classes, but we experience these things this every day because we are on the same island. You may live out life for key, but if your business is in Palmdale, you have to pass these things, or you have to notice these things on a.
And I think that's
passing through.
And I think that's what Gail was trying to get at yesterday, was that I think she was under the impression that I wanted my child to remain in isolation in some way, but that's not the case.
No, I don't think that was like that. She was just giving you a warning that when you give your child.
Personally, my perception of what's happening around me in life was warped due to the fact that I was in that environment for this extended period of time every single day.
Okay.
And so when you're interacting with people that are not in the same wealth bracket or with salary bracket or whatever as you get, as a child, you're at that real formative time period, and your perception can be warped by that. So for me, I'm looking at things that I can't afford, not with even the perception that I would be able to afford them, but I want them because I was around them.
But see, that's what we spoke about yesterday. The issue there is not necessarily that you were in this environment, but more so that your parents didn't prepare you for what you were going to experience, and after you being in it, not didn't seem to give you context or explain to you, well, listen, this is the situation, this is why, this is this way, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it doesn't seem as though those conversations were had.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that isn't
I don't
an easy
think you-
conversation to have
yeah.
as well.
No, I agree, but I mean, it should be.
Which
Which
is
is
why
why-
with Kaylee is that when you get the opportunity, when you get the opportunity to give her the best possible experiences in this life, make sure it's still grounded in a way where
Oh, definitely.
she doesn't forget where she came from.
And that's what I'm saying is, and it's like,
Yeah.
because
but some parents do is they
They
feel like
concentrate
they've
on that.
I got
arrived.
it.
Boom, you
Not
can go
even
to
that
this.
they've arrived.
Yeah.
They've concentrated so hard on doing better and providing something better that they get obsessed with that how that looks. Right? So we have parents that struggled.
Yeah.
They didn't want us to struggle. They didn't want us to go through that. So they separated us from that. Whereas I don't think that separation should occur, but I understand why it did. And I think each generation goes through that in some way where you really want to do better for your child, and then you end up in the position that you can. And then you try your best to separate yourself from that completely,
right.
and that may not, you
Right.
know,
And that's
round them off as best
and
as
that's
it
what I was
should.
saying.
Right.
Like, that is the issue. Not necessarily them being in that environment, but them not being guided
yeah, but that
through that
environment,
process.
Greg, I
But that
feel like
environment-
your
see,
environment
but
The
okay.
thing about that
affects
environment,
you.
But that's my thing, right? Hold on, let me-
Because on a day to day, like when you send Kaylee off to school, right?
Yeah.
They still live that universe for
We'll
a
talk
short
about the
period of time
Jesus
without
thing.
you.
Like the Jesus
they
thing.
have to-
Exactly,
they
and that's
have
one of
to-
the major
they have to
reasons.
navigate
Yeah.
through those things, and it might be
But that's
some of
the
the things
environment.
that a person like they may like, which is cool. Like these, you know, I like these. These are my friends that I hang with, and every now and again. But it might get to the point where like they're part of that clique where they make fun of this person because either they, you know, have some problem with them or they don't have the things that they have, and over time it becomes a habit.
But it,
And
okay,
then they could become that person.
let me give you all some context, right? Let me give you all my reasoning, because I'm big on environment, culture, stuff like that, right? One reason, you know, the main reason, I tired of the indoctrination. I can't stand it. I don't think it has any place in schools. Shouldn't be brainwashing children with this Christianity. I think it's ridiculous and it has no place in schools. I'm tired of it. My 4-year-old daughter should not be getting into arguments over freaking Christianity. You understand? And that actually
What is
happens.
she arguing about, possibly?
They are brainwashing
your-
my child
okay.
You
and
specifically, yeah.
convincing her that what they are telling her is the truth and it's real. Right? And I'm
that's
telling
not
her,
what you
this
subscribe
is
to.
what they believe. This is not actually real. This is what they subscribe to. And I have an issue. So that was the main reason I wanted to get, and it appears that only these schools
Right.
don't, you
Are
know,
non-denominational.
indoctrinate your children with religion or Christianity. These only these few schools do that. So that was the main reason. Another reason is, like you said, and it goes back to what you said to a degree, which is, you know, the environment. Like I went to friggin' public school for a great deal of my life, right? And I know how the environment was. I went to one of the biggest gang schools around, R.M. Bailey, during the height of the gun dogs and raiders and sharks and all these foolishness, right?
Yeah.
Ain't no way in hell I won't want my daughter in that environment, right? Because I knew what went on. So to a degree, it's not wanting her to be in the environment that I was in because I knew it wasn't a positive one and it likely wouldn't be conducive to her being a success,
Right.
or socialized properly.
And I think where we talked about in the conversation is that even though those variables will give you the compass for you to pick the right school for her to be in, just the right school alone won't be the silver bullet.
No, I get it,
Yeah,
but,
no,
but
yeah,
it's-
that's all where it
But
is.
it's very important,
Yeah.
because
It is
like
a
I
huge
said,
factor. That takes away a lot of the thing.
Because,
Yeah.
and I realize how important school is in terms of the way a child develops. Because, like I say, me and my 4-year-old having arguments. She been to a school, like this was from maybe only going to school for a year or two, and she already believing the people at school over me.
Yeah.
So school is extremely important, and I recognize that. So this plays the major role in deciding where I want to send her, because not only those things, but also the mindset and the attitude, right? let's be honest, in the, I guess you could say, let's say government schools or maybe the not so expensive schools where you have that mix of more so, I don't want to say lower class, but more so people that
Low
don't have
income.
high income,
Yeah.
the low income earning, where they would go to school, you have a certain mindset, and it's a defeatist mindset. It's a like, well, this the best I could do. I can't do no better than this. They don't really have. They tend not to have ambition, and they just exist. And I don't want her to be in an environment where that is the culture, and she then gets roped into that, and I then have to constantly. Now I know it's work. Being a parent, work is constant, but I don't want to make.
But you don't want to fight against something like that, which he'll always.
And something that I can control. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
I don't
gotcha.
want. If I want to reduce the things to fight against as much as possible. So I want to get in an environment where it's more positive, where they encourage you that you could do whatever you want to do, you could be where you want, whatever you want to be, where she's around people that have been successful, continue to be successful, and where being successful, going to university, doing these things are the norm. You understand? And it's not an anomaly. Because in the schools where it tends to be, low income families, college, what that is? Owning a business, what's that?
Yeah,
that ain't for us.
I got you.
You know what I mean? So is that those are more sort of determining factors when it comes to me wanting to send her to a school. And I recognize that no matter what school or situation you put your children in, you're gonna have issues. You can't get around that. Like Gail said, she experienced issues to the high one out the west, and she experienced issues to the not so high one out east.
Yeah, I mean.
So you can have issues wherever you go.
Yeah.
And I think it always, and like I said, that was kind of I was in the middle of those where I went to a great school, but you still had issues where, like me personally, especially even like hearing myself talk now, is that just because I talk proper, I hang out with all the white kids.
You white, yeah.
Yeah.
Or I white.
Right,
You know
and
what
it's
I
like
mean?
prosperity is looked down upon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so
Yeah.
stupid.
No, but even like on different like my family business owned a auto shop, Miller's Auto Parts and Service Center, and my brother.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
And it was a point where, especially being in high school, when my brother would pick me up from school, and he would pick me up in whatever car was available to pick me up in.
Listen, they had options, Gail.
No. Know what I mean? No,
Options.
that's what people thought. But these are just cars that we were working on. My brother.
Oh, these other people got.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
bring my car for you all to fix it, you all riding around in my car.
No.
Yeah, we
no,
picking
no,
up
no.
Travis from school.
No, but I mean, but again,
That's what it
just in
is.
terms of appearances, my brother at the time, he didn't have a car of his own in order, and he had to pick me up. So the car that he was working at, and he kind of knocked out, that was the car to pick me up in. But on the outside perception, oh, y'all
Next
got
car.
money. You picking up a
Next
car
car.
every day,
Right.
and
They made you feel guilty for that, didn't they?
they.
No, 'cause
Like it made
he-
you feel bad. They
No,
tried to
no,
make you
because
bad.
he
No.
couldn't tell them.
I couldn't. Yeah.
He couldn't tell them, this is why I'm getting picked up in a car every day. It's easier to roll with the perception that you have it than to be truthful about your situation.
Oh.
Yes, on a different, like I never took the time to explain it to anybody. It's
Did you
just
want
it's
to?
one of the things I don't even.
How did it
honestly,
make you feel when they did that?
It made me feel, and here's the thing. It made me feel like we had it like that,
Yeah.
but at the same token, it was like it was still lying to myself.
Yeah.
Because it was like it wasn't like that. It wasn't the warped reality of it. It's like for me, it was more work to explain why it didn't happen versus just letting it.
And you
Let
facing
the
judgment of
perception-
some sort as well.
Yeah,
if you
of
do that
course.
too.
Especially in that thing, especially going with the whole social thing where, I spoke proper. I didn't like the things everybody else liked. So it's like, you go to this church, or you do these things, or you hang out with these people consistently every week. So you'll be perceived as this type of person. So. I was me, and it was a good thing at an early stage. It's like it doesn't matter what people think. So it didn't really affect me on a mental level where I had to keep up perceptions or anything, because I was always in the middle wise anyway. Like I wasn't a popular kid. I wasn't like.
No, I disagree because
know?
I feel like perceptions are warped. And
They are,
basically-
yeah.
But that's basically, for example, you could go to the show right, and get a meal.
Okay.
You could go cross the bridge in the casino and get a meal. You can fill up the same way, right? Same way you could buy Wendy's.
Right.
A belly full is a
Right?
belly full.
A belly
Yeah.
full is a belly full.
Right.
But because of that, you are more likely to pick PI over the show.
Because
Yeah.
of what? You mean
Over
the,
Wendy's.
You mean the insecurity and that need to impress or
It's
put
not even
on?
a need to impress or put on. Your standard or your perception of standard has been shifted based on your environment. So standard is not the show. Standard is going over PI,
For you, at least.
possibly
For
being,
your-
being on Snapchat.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. I mean, that
Focusing
means
on
you
that
just
stuff.
you just gotta put on.
Yeah, but
to
so
to
now
fit
you
in.
have that program, right? Whereas I could easily go on the fry and get a meal, right? And this is why I appreciate my double-sided experience so much, because it really, really rounded me off. And I'm totally not as naive as I was in that control environment, because that is a very naive environment too.
Okay.
You're not exposed to real life. You're not exposed to the evil things that are in this world. You are not exposed to potential things that happen. Pedophiles and murder and all these concepts
You're in a
are
bubble.
completely foreign to you
Yeah.
as well in those environments, because the wealth doesn't produce those type of situations almost.
Even on another perspective too, like again, like taking it back to like STC and all the stuff that we've been doing, like to provide a platform for entrepreneurship and to teach these things or to provide a community, is that like you could do those things, but then when you hear a situation where like a kid my age or younger getting shot or not having that opportunity, is like, what are we really doing if we're not solving these problems? You know what I mean? Because these are the majority. This is the reality that we live in. Yeah, we're doing all this good startup stuff, like, but what is really being affected? And that's something that I want to think about as time
So,
goes
okay.
on more and more.
So,
but
for you saying
yeah.
that, right? Move meetup from Starbucks to somewhere
In the hood.
in the hood, and see who comes to that. That's number
That's interesting,
one.
you know.
Yeah, that's a good perspective.
Because
Yeah.
what we do, that's what I'm saying. You chose Starbucks for a reason, right? The environment. There is a certain perception associated with Starbucks, etc. I'm not saying this is the
No,
thought
no,
process
yeah,
Travis
but
had, right?
I get what you're saying.
But
I get what
certain
you're saying.
people will attend because you are at Starbucks. So now
Right.
you're talking about making a real difference in real areas.
Right.
So now we can't do Starbucks. We need to do some community center or some place there
Knowledge.
and see who from the Starbucks crew will be there.
Knowledge.
That's interesting.
Because our perception, and it's so warped. It's funny. It's hilarious to me because we feel like there are people walking around here who feel bougie. They feel like I don't go there because
X,
Yes,
Y, and Z.
yes,
yeah.
yes.
I don't
Or you
go
have to
there
do
because-
this and do
Yes.
this thing.
I have to.
Yeah.
I like you say attend this church because
Right.
Yeah.
you see me.
But what do you-
I'll be I'll be drinking in the Moon Bar on Paradise Island, and I'll be at Red Door off of Mini Street, and I don't. That's
No
it.
difference.
You
Yeah,
could
you could do that.
blend. You
I
could
can
go
do
to
that.
both.
I don't
Right.
look like it. Everybody tell me say I don't look like
not
it,
only,
but I can
not
do
only
it.
to the essence of just because she could blend.
No.
It doesn't make a it doesn't make a difference. Like
Let me
you know,
just say
like
one more thing.
Yeah.
The girl from Life of Key couldn't do Mini Street. The girl from Life of Key and St. Anne's can do Mini Street. The girl from Life of Key can do Olives. St. Anne's by itself, I probably couldn't do Olives. So this is what I'm saying, like that. You need to have that.
Again, bringing that back, do you feel like, just to touch on what you just said just now, do you
Yeah.
feel like if you didn't have those contrasting experiences and you were just in one box and one thing, you wouldn't be like, you probably wouldn't have been more
I would have
likely
been
to
a
do those
totally
things?
different,
Well, of course.
not even totally different person. Just
And it just opens
so
up your world more. I mean, like, I think the value in that is that you
Awful.
open up your world more and you be able to relate to people.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, like in terms of family rise, being with different families from different backgrounds and just being a personable person, if I want to go in different environments, I could gel and
Right.
survive in those different environments. But I felt like if I was in one thing where I felt like, I can't, well, that is below me. Which
Yeah, I
a lot
agree.
of people do.
And that's
Yeah.
that's where the issue lies, is that disconnect.
Yeah.
And I like it. Well, I probably have, my spectrum isn't like Gail's. I never went to the Life with Keys and I went to private school for maybe 2 years out of the 6 years of my high school life. That was the first 2 years. The rest was public school. And also, my grandmother that we used to go by, in the summers and from time to time, used to live Quintan Alley and Andrews Avenue in the Grove. We lived one little house, small house, all us jumbled up, ball up, sleeping on the floor, a bunch of us. You know what I mean? So I have that experience, a bit of that. And toting water, you got to pump water from across the road. You got to bring it. You got to put the water on the stove to heat it up and put it in the tub if you want a warm bath.
Yep.
So I have those experiences. But later on in life, I've been around some people that more middle class. Well, let me not say be around. I actually grew up what would be considered middle class.
Okay.
Grew up in Yamakra.
Yeah.
Working class parents, both parents working, try to do the best, to provide for your family. At least I had both parents for most of my life. They got divorced when I was in my teens, probably 14, 15, something like that. But I have that sort of middle class experience as well as the lower income experience. And I feel like that has molded who I am, and like Gail say, I'm able to go. I could go through Camp Road.
Yeah.
I could talk to the dudes who's sitting on the block, and I could still go in meetings with people that own businesses.
Yeah.
So it's that diversity, and it's
Yeah.
because I had those experiences as a child. So I appreciate the balance, and I feel like more people need that balance, and this is why.
So let me kick back in terms of the essence of privilege. Do you feel like because you had those experiences, you feel that you are better or better well-rounded as a person?
I feel like I'm more well-rounded. And I feel like I'm better. I'm not better. I'm able to adapt to more situations.
Is that or
because
is
of
that
it.
not a form of privilege?
Well, of course. But then here's the thing. I think people...
And this is just devil's advocate.
Yeah, I know. But I think people pigeonhole privilege. Privilege is all about perspective. You know what I mean? The person that pumping water right now today has privileges. But they won't see their privileges because they're not looking at them as privileges.
No,
it's all about how you look at your situation. So everyone has privilege.
I'll take it one step further. They haven't been shown that at all.
Right, and they don't know. That's just what it is for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You ever had an exercise of like going into stores where you may not be able to afford the item right now, but you go and look at it.
And visualize
and
it
touch
almost?
it. No, ask them, can I see so-and-so? Touch it and... like you said, visualize yourself purchasing.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of us may avoid certain stores. Let's say we've already talked ourselves out of it before we reach inside. Like, I can't go in there. I can't afford that. And that's probably the same thing what you talking about at the pump. I can't even do this. I can't afford this, or I can't be
or
this.
they've never even been exposed to it. That's why exposure is so important too.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know. They don't even know that store exists. They've never seen those
I
things.
think exposure is the best way you could hack a situation and an experience versus like having like to live that day by day. Like, you know what I mean? Like for us, like having the opportunity to like to be let me see how to word it. Like, because my first example was to go on a mission trip to Africa for a month. And be in that environment and to live there. But again, that's a form of privilege because not everybody could afford
to even go
to do that.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of retracted on that, ladies and gentlemen. But it could happen anywhere. We could go in the center of the island and just say, what is it like to be here for a day, or even like. One thing, which is the highest form of privilege to me, that Bahamians do on a day-to-day basis, is that, and especially in contracts of being in the States, is pumping gas. Pumping your own gas versus having somebody do it for you. You know what I mean? And like, especially being in the States for a while where you have to get your ass out the car and pump your own gas.
Right.
But like, you just have Bahamians like pull up,
wait,
and they will wait for 10
and
minutes.
wait. But the thing is, if no one comes, they're like making noise and all that stuff like that
Yeah.
versus
Instead of
getting out
just
the car.
getting
and
out,
doing it.
That's entitlement.
And that's an entitlement.
Yeah.
So like, we all have our challenges, and it's a lot of things that we do consciously and
something else
subconsciously.
occurred to me.
Go ahead.
Not only the wealth perception, but also colorism.
Okay.
I guess.
yeah.
Okay. Talk it.
Because
Talk it.
as being your daughter's a little light-skinned female too.
Right.
So as a young light-skinned female in that white environment, I really thought that long straight hair was pretty. Lighter skin was pretty eyes. I used to wear colored contacts.
Really?
Yeah, because my eyes were pretty.
Okay.
Right, when I wore them. But like you in that environment where you don't you don't see your perception of what beauty is as a young woman, as in particular, can be severely warped. And you see people, you know, having this experience with trying to straighten their hair. They want their hair straight. I wanted my hair straight. Me having the hard comb on the stove,
yeah,
right?
Yep, I remember
warming
that.
it up to go straighten my hair. This can't straighten. I don't know what we was doing, but
Right.
I wanted that so badly because that's where I was, right?
And that's
So you
what was
have to work
considered
extra
beautiful.
hard as well on her perception of self in terms of her
Oh,
color.
definitely.
Like I said, I went to at that school. I was dark skinned. Like if you asked me to point out my shade, I would not be able to point out an accurate shade. Like it was that bad.
And I even think
yeah.
on another level too, because I can't really relate from the
Yeah.
hair wise. But in terms of going back to class,
Yeah.
it's like, and I feel like this, especially because I see it in my nephew now too, where it's like they have to have a brand of toy.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Or have to have this
Talk about
particular
clothes.
thing. And
Yeah.
clothes and stuff like that, brand name, stuff like
yes.
that. All that stuff, like I
Tinsy.
remember, like even in high school, and if my brother ever watched this, he'll understand. Like my brother used to buy Lacoste and Polo all the time.
Yeah.
And I used to hack it because I used to take his clothes and wear it
Uh-huh.
just to have the brand, like just to have the brand
Yeah.
name and all that stuff like that. I mean, like consciously back then,
very-
I wasn't thinking about why am I doing this, but
Right.
it's like. But at a younger age, is like, especially when you, in that kind of the middle schools, Kingsway, St. Anne's, QC and stuff like that, is like we all get SAC, all that. Everything is peachy and keen and innocent when you're young, but every now and again, like especially when these commercials come around, oh, I want this Lego, I want this Batman,
Oh, my
and then when you
goodness.
realize you can't really get that, or you don't, you know.
Shoot, hold on. You all talking, and you all been to private school.
Exactly.
You all think that don't happen in the government school?
No, we
Yeah,
no, we
but
ain't
what
saying
we
that. But we ain't
saying-
saying that.
But let me-
You gotta
again,
watch
but
that.
That's one of those things that happen on any level.
Yeah, I know,
You
and that's
have
what I'm
to
saying.
watch
Like
that.
government
Yeah.
school, I
Yeah.
remember, and I look here, peer pressure is a serious thing. You hear me? Because in R.M. Bailey, you had to have even Aquinas and R.M. Bailey. I had white pants almost my whole high school career. Lord, that was terrible. But anyhow, so in school, you gotta have name brand. Mind you, none of these children working, you know.
Yep.
But you expected that if your pants don't have Dockers or Tommy,
Yeah.
you're
Cool.
getting teased.
Yep.
Cool.
Don't come with no Ocean Drive. Don't come with no Sweetwater.
Clarks,
You gotta
all
wear
that-
Clarks.
Yeah.
man.
All these brands, but it just
And I think that kind of how it. That's
Okay,
like the
so now
seed.
you're going through that. Then you go home and you asking mommy for Dockers.
we was doing that.
Okay, and you ain't getting Dockers.
My old
I
lady,
wasn't getting no
buddy,
Dockers.
my old lady tell me, Cole, listen, that's pants. You want Dockers, you gonna work for them.
But see,
and I
that's what
remember
helped.
packing groceries. The first thing I buy with money packing grocery was Dockers pants.
Exactly.
And the thing is, it's so
That's a problem.
dangerous.
It is.
It's a problem. I
is.
had the same experience,
Yes.
and that's why I say that you really have to watch
But,
that
they
as
got,
well.
but as we've shown, that's gonna happen
It's gonna happen.
on every level.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, but it's like internal though.
I'm speaking from
No,
the,
this is the danger, and this is where the education comes. Because if you let it go unchecked, especially being as kids weaponize that, and they be like, okay, you have our group of friends over here wearing like Tommy or Dockers and stuff like that, and over
a
time,
clique.
just because that dude doesn't have those, you kind of jeering to be like, oh, either you do it consciously or subconsciously, or he don't, you don't rock the fresh kicks and all that. stuff.
no, they was brutal in
They ostracized
public
you.
school.
They
Yeah,
are
they
it's
don't push it back.
ostracizing a one way and a level. But if you go where you remedy that is that you may be able to be in a position where you could get these things for your kid, but let them know is that this doesn't make you a person. This doesn't make or break you as an individual. Just because now we have the affordance of these things, this isn't your identity,
Right.
and you don't use this against somebody else.
Right.
And I think is being aware. That's what we want. That's the biggest thing. Because in terms of schooling, in terms of who you hang with, those are all variables. Especially you could control at a level. But it's those little things that can add up into one big whole. In terms of, especially in sense of identity and self. Which also add up to the bigger picture of class or who you socialize with. That once left unchecked or not to the realization could be detrimental to the individual.
Yeah, because with your example with the Dockers, you suppressed it. It's almost like a suppression of that desire based on the fact that you can't get it. Like, I don't know if you had this experience, but I stopped asking for things at one point because it wouldn't have made sense. It ain't gonna happen.
Well, maybe
That sort of thing has kind of progressed or stuck with me throughout my life. But then when I do make a purchase, I have that extreme now because, like you say, when you got the money, that's what you did. When I got the money, I made a purchase of something that I did not need. That was a name brand item that I only wanted because of these perceptions.
Right.
Grade 7, Baby G watches were like,
Yeah.
that was it. And everybody in my class had them.
Yeah.
Right? We talking 2000, this like 99, right? So fast forward to 2012, I'm a working individual. I'm going into a store. I'm grown, and I want a Baby G.
and I was gonna say
And
that.
I did get a Baby G.
I
what
want
I'm
a
saying.
Baby G now.
And I'm gonna say like
It's not
that.
even relevant anymore.
But that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like, but it's not. That's not only limited to kids in school.
Yeah.
Because
But that's
we
where it
see this.
develops.
We see this in society with grown adults, even
Because
up to
the school
old people.
the school is just the same people in a different thing.
Yeah, but all that speaks
But
to.
but school will let it go unchecked if the institution doesn't build around it, and it's too formless to that, because we all as individuals at some point we learn for ourselves, either through the experiences that we come across or like through our own understanding. But you need the institution, like the parents of the home and hopefully the school, to really be the barometer of what is actually right and what is wrong, whether it's through a teacher who cares about you enough to talk to you about like why you don't do things, or parents really taking the time to talk to kids about what's actually going on in school.
You have to.
Like about your day,
Yeah.
not if you have homework or if you don't have homework and that, but like what actually happened today. Who got kicked
But
out?
then
of-
you see,
yeah.
here's the problem, and this goes to something that I hate to freaking hear. Not only Bahamians, but people in general say. What you said was important, right? But we have a mindset and a mentality that you shouldn't be your cheering friends. I hate to hear grown people say that stupid thing, right? Because, like you just said, you have to communicate with your children to
have to
find
com-
out
yeah, you have to communicate.
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
The only way that's going to happen is if you have a
conversations.
certain degree of friendship with your children. The
trust.
reason why your kids are influenced by others is because they have a special friendship with them and they trust them to a degree, so they could let them know certain things. But these freaking who call themselves parents who want to be freaking sergeants and militant and don't want to have no kind of friendship with their children ain't gonna open up to them. That's why they want to be the ones who surprise when their children do things in school. Like the boy who had the gun in the bag just the other day. My daddy in court crying. Probably had no idea. No idea. Because, and I don't know the situation, not speaking specifically to that, but I'm just saying, in certain situations, you would see parents, they would be like, how does get my child? This ain't my child.
Right.
That's because you didn't want to be your child friend.
Yeah, and
so your child
and
become a friend with somebody who is willing to be their friend, and that's who they is open up with, and that's who really know who they are.
Right. And I mean, and just to solidify the protection of that. And it isn't just a gun. It could. I've been in situations too where like, oh my God, Johnny has a joint. I don't understand how he could be such a menace to society.
Oh my
and,
God,
you know,
Susie is pregnant.
yeah. Oh, she got pregnant. How did this happen?
Right.
I mean, more times than not, you could have had a sign or a conversation that kind of had it like that. And again, this is something that needs to be a habit. You need to get into the habit and having these conversations, open up, because we get it. Being a parent is hard, and plus you have to deal with life.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get into that stage like, oh, not today.
Right.
But as a parent, you have the obligation.
Yes.
For it to be a part of your day and to ask those conversations. And
Yes.
stuff like that. That's how I feel, at least.
All right. But Travis sound like he ready.
I know,
We
right?
gotta look up.
No, it ain't-
It is a birthday, I know.
It's not a situation. I mean,
Look out, look.
Baby on the way?
no, baby on the way.
All right.
But I always was on the premise, especially now, like when I have a kid,
Yeah.
I want it to be when I want to have a kid. You know what I mean? I want to be. I always use the bare minimum thing where if I can't afford diapers, then I shouldn't be having a kid. You know what I mean?
And that only makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that only make it, but you would think so.
You would think so.
You would think so.
You would think so. But then again, there's another
and
side to it.
you can never like be ready. You never know when.
And I was
you
about
never
to,
know when.
And I was about to say that because there's a time, like, look here. I get fired when my girlfriend was pregnant, soldier. So it all depends on the person as well. Because what having a child did was it made me more ambitious and determined
Not to fail.
But exactly, because now someone is depending on me.
Yeah.
To succeed.
You understand?
Yeah.
So now I have no excuse. I have to do it. But then not everyone, takes that approach or looks at things that way. So it depends on the person.
Yeah, it
but
depends.
it makes sense.
It
If you
depends.
feel like, they're saying this could be an expense that I can't handle right now, that's the right thing to do. And I wish more people would do that. But back to the classism and the divide. I think, like I said, the danger isn't, well, to a degree it is the environment, but it's not, like I said, communicating with your child and letting them know exactly, explaining to them what the situation is. And also we have to deal with the adults in our society because they also play a major role in this divide and in this classism. Because like you say, people grown adults turn their nose up. Child, I ain't going to this place. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
my child ain't gonna be caught dead and no name pants or tennis, or my child gotta have the best and this and that. So parents and adults play a role in this as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, they was in the system too, so they probably just they have that same mindset. They just take it with them into adulthood. But I that goes back to insecurity, and I stick with my belief. I hear people say all the time, "Oh, money is the root of all evil," or "the love of money is the root of all evil." My belief is that insecurity is the root of all evil. And
Okay.
I think insecurity is the base, because if you look at all the issues that we have, it stems from some form of insecurity. Whether it be finances, whether it be
Or just
protection,
keeping up with the
whether it be
Joneses.
it's insecurity.
I think
to
that's
me,
a big thing.
Yes, I think
that's a huge
insecurity
thing.
is the root of all evil. And I think that's what causes this divide and this classism, is when you insecure. You know what I mean? And that's on both ends.
Yeah.
The lower end, the high end, the middle end, everybody, I think there's a level of insecurity that contributes to this classism that we witness. Because I think that's our major issue in this country, because it ain't racism. Because down there, 85-90% of the population black, it's more so classism.
You experience racism in those schools as well.
Well, definitely. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I mean, and racism could be a form of insecurity if you really dissect it a different way.
It is.
And when you, and as you keep saying insecurity, the thing that I try to root the visualization of that is like what your needs, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You are insecure because everybody around you has one thing, and you feel like you need that thing, and you
feel less than.
and you mix up want with need, and like the things that you really need don't really define you as a human being, because you don't really care about what other people
And then you
think.
get a
So,
warped sense of what's
Right.
actually important.
right, roof over your head versus a condo in Malaysia, like because everybody goes up, you know what I mean?
But it
Yeah.
goes
I know.
back to what you said earlier, is
Yeah.
that you have to realize that these things don't define you.
No.
What happens is we've created a society where what you have defines you.
Yeah.
What kind of car you got, which area you live in, what
Yeah.
kind of clothes you always wear.
Yeah.
These things define the person, and that's where we went wrong. Because these material things, they don't mean nothing.
One thing I noticed, and this, you take it how you want it in terms of shade and not shade. One thing I noticed in terms of especially financial institutions, the individuals, you could like jewelry, jewelry, rings, things, David Yurman and stuff like that. You kind of see that a lot in financial and government things, where it's like it always keep like one up type of thing. And I feel like that is an external indicator of how good you're doing or how better you may
Yep.
have it.
Yep.
And again, that goes back to insecurity.
Yep.
Because what that does is that it's a nonverbal conversation to the person that may not have it, or have something a little bit thing, or something that's out of style from a year ago, to say, hey,
Yeah.
we work together, but I may be or may not be a little bit better than you,
Yeah,
type of
exactly.
thing. But that goes around in general.
Yes.
I mean, in the Bahamas, or thing, it's like having to get a new car every year.
Yes.
Having to to go to this thing.
Having to paint at Christmas.
Yes.
So, and a higher level is just the machine that is society that's always cranking this out. But I feel like where you really get the power is to learning to tune that out and really say, okay, what do I really need from me, my family, at the bare minimum essentials, and to me that kind of brings it more home for me on a financial level, because on top of a goal of being healthy, it'd be really more, financially sound in terms of really monitoring what I'm spending. Do I really need this thing type of thing, and that is very counterintuitive to most people in our society, where they gotta have these things every week or do these things. So
I was saying about this story because this was my moment when that sort of thing stopped mattering to me.
Okay.
My dad picked us up from St. Anne's, and at the time he was driving an old church bus.
Lord.
So the church name, the church is in Andrews too, so the whole name was on the side of the bus though, and everything, right? And he pulls into the schoolyard and stops the bus, and I guess the clutch drop or whatever, because it's a hill. Not drop, but like
time ticket.
He stalled on the hill, right?
Yeah.
And so the van, poof, out the back, smoke, pure exhaust.
Right.
Not only that, the pavilion, which is right there in the parking lot, is where everybody sits to wait on their parents to pick them up.
Oh, yes.
So the billow,
Movie.
the billow of exhaust engulfed every child that was on the pavilion.
Yeah. So
And they're
you would get help on
asking
this
me,
tomorrow.
not tomorrow, tonight away.
We're gonna see it live right now.
Yeah, Daddy think we in churchy. It's an Anglican
Lord.
school.
Yeah.
So we have incense, right? So everybody asking if we in church because Daddy done fog up the place. And I did have to politely walk from the pavilion to the van while he figured it out to get it started again so we could go.
Yeah.
And from then, you can't say
You can't get no
nothing
lower
to
than that?
me.
Yeah.
It
You
don't go
can't
much
do
lower
it.
than that.
He don't have his shirt holy. My daddy don't wear no
Oh,
proper shirt. He
Lord.
wears holy stand-up shirt, and he walking out and he wearing no deodorant, so you can smell him before he reach.
Yeah.
And he working on whatever he got to work on.
Right.
And he going to pick up his children from school,
Yes.
and he going
He
home.
don't care.
Yes.
And like that's
And
the
that
yeah, it ain't about
That's
what
it for
those
me.
kids think. I come to pick up my kids.
Yeah.
And that's
and those children may not have even had their father come to pick them up. Like I look at
Knowledge.
these things
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what that situation
don't-
may have been,
yeah.
but my daddy used to be there every
day
single day
to pick
picking
you up.
us up in these smoky vans.
that's
So
but the thing is, and the beauty of that is, in terms of like, it's good to have open dialogue like what we doing right now, because it's only through these things where you can look back and look at the appreciation.
Yeah.
Like even the same thing in terms of when my old man used to pick me up from school when I
Don't
was
you
in.
hate that though?
No, I mean, but no, this
the
is
time.
no.
I mean
For
now,
me,
like I hate that
What?
I have to appreciate it now. Like I hate that
Yeah.
I'm understanding this now.
No, but I
you
mean, like,
that
I used to be hot.
You
this
wanted
is
to-
when I was in.
You wish you appreciated then, you mean?
But I couldn't. But I appreciate
Yeah,
it
'cause
now.
you don't know,
but I'm
you-
mad that I do.
Yeah.
But that's not, the only thing that changes your perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Like I said, like, and this was when I was in preschool, so it wasn't on a social.
Wow.
Yeah, but
I
I
don't
mean,
remember that.
No, I mean, no. I mean, at that thing, I remember my old man picking me up because we had a black sheep.
Okay.
But I mean, now I step out of that and I look at what all happened in that time. Like my pops had his first shop in South Beach.
Okay.
And my preschool is right around the corner in Palmdale.
Right.
So we used to come from South Beach every day.
Hold on, did you say right around the corner in Palmdale?
Yeah, I mean like
South Beach?
Yeah, from South Beach.
That ain't right around the corner, Travis.
No. I mean South. I used to go to preschool around the corner.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
yeah,
okay.
in Palmdale.
Hold on, what?
No. So
Okay.
like, yeah, around that corner, like 2 blocks or whatever
Right.
down that way. But like now it's like South Beach to here every day to pick me up. You don't notice that, or until you really take a step back to connect those dots in terms of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And that's those things that you need to keep rooted into terms of like what you need to take going forward.
Okay, with the
Right.
parents picking up their kids from school in golf carts, they was out there from 2:45.
Right, easy. Yeah.
To get picked
That's-
up, and you just walk out, hop in your little
Yeah,
golf cart,
yeah.
and everybody drive off.
Yeah.
My dad used to at work,
Yeah.
which means he have to take lunch 4 o'clock so that he could come pick me up from school. So between like 4:30 was my usual time. School is completely empty except for 1 or 2 people and the people who's doing after school activities. And I'm mad.
Yeah, yeah.
because I
You
want to get
ain't
pick up right away and go home
Yeah,
right away
because
too.
everybody go,
Not knowing my dad probably
Yeah.
went this whole day without taking a break so that he could take lunch at this time
Yep.
to come and get us, and he driving all the way out
Yeah,
west.
and see again, that's the importance. That's perspective, you see, and knowing what's important in life. We get caught up with all these stupid material. And I blame a lot of things, but for one, commercialization.
Yeah.
You know, big business want to make money, so they make people believe that
I
they
blame
need to
the
have
British.
certain things. Say the British.
Yes.
They believe that we have to have certain things. You had commercials, even the banks getting on to get this loan so you could go on this thing and
is
do this
past
thing.
that. I blame
But,
the British.
But no,
Okay.
I mean,
From
No,
high
no,
tea,
just
pump,
like
and circumstance
No.
in this hot and sweaty environment, just to put on, we ate that right up.
Well, we continuing it.
Exactly.
And we under
talking
see-
about the banks, like just the banks are, and this is one of, I can't the banks are literally paying for advertisements for you to take out a loan
Yes.
to go on vacation.
Yes.
sir.
If you don't understand
Yes, sir.
how dangerous that is,
Yes, sir.
It's about money.
that's crazy.
But it's money. Christmas time to buy Christmas presents.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Get a loan to buy some
To
gifts.
buy a car.
So it's commercialization.
It's predatory.
Yeah,
It's
it
predatory.
is.
It's
It's
predatory.
all about.
That's
It's
a
all
whole-
about money.
that's
That's a whole different
next
conversation.
Yeah, that's
topic,
all. That's all different. But
Yeah.
people underestimate the power of not caring, and I
Amen.
realize the less I care, the happier I am in life. And the
Amen,
thing is,
Pastor.
too many people in this life. Yeah, they spend money they don't have
Yes.
to get things they don't need
Yes.
to impress people they don't like.
Fight Club.
Yes.
And
Fight
it don't
Club.
make no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
But we have to,
have
like
to
she
work
said,
on that.
yeah, we need to.
It's it's being aware and conscious about what you the day to day.
Yeah,
It's a-
but
it's
we
an
have to
active
interact.
effort.
We have to interact with each other more.
Yes.
No matter how much you make, what you drive, what area you live in, there has to be more interaction, and it can't be the rich people turning their nose up and avoiding areas, and the poor people calling people elitists and dismissing them. It's too much divide. We all human beings. We live on the same little rock. Somehow we gonna have to, coexist in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form. Which is why what Gail suggested earlier was instead of going to Starbucks, maybe have some events and areas where it's
And that's a
less
big-
fortunate
that's a-
people.
yeah.
So we need to do more interaction because that's the only way we can deal with this classism issue and also get rid of the insecurity. Listen, this material things, cars and houses and all these things, they ain't nothing. Trust me, they ain't nothing. When you're looking back on your life, those things are not going to be the things that run across your mind if you're in a hospital bed or something like that.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, your car ain't coming to see you. Your house ain't even where it is to come see you if you're laying up in the
Even
hospital.
if you get auto drive,
close.
they ain't coming to
It
see you.
ain't coming to see
It
you.
close, it ain't coming to
Exactly.
see
It
you.
don't care about you.
Yeah.
Take notice of the things that
So
matter the
wide.
most, and then you will put things into perspective, and you won't go through all the hardships or look at them as hardships while you're coming up, and you'll have a better life. You understand? So anyhow, that's more than an hour. We can wrap this episode up. I
What?
appreciate the conversation. That's going
crazy.
fast, eh?
Yeah, that was good.
Why not going fast? But I appreciate you all for taking time out to have this wonderful discussion. We gotta come back and do this again. Travis, I know why you ducking this.
Don't
Because you
duck.
see, this ain't the ratchet show, I think Travis thought we just used to have this show.
No, you like to hand out haircut and shave when you have people on the show.
What you talking about?
Travis was not trying to experience that.
I don't. Oh no, you gotta explain that one to me, Gail. What you
What I
talking
gotta
about?
explain?
What's she talking about, Travis?
I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know what she's talking about.
Greg, I think if Greg don't run people blood pressure up to a certain point by the end of the show, he ain't not a good show.
No. It ain't like that. Trust me. It ain't. I ain't trying to. All I do is honestly. All I do, and I think you may be under the impression
Oh, Lord, here
that
we go.
is me trying to run up blood
That
pressure.
was a
or-
joke.
I know, but my thing is, this is honestly how I feel. This is honestly my perspective, my thoughts. When I ask certain questions or I say certain things, it's pure honesty. That's me just being genuine because we have to, sometimes in Bahamian terms, your vexation got to get yuck up to deal with certain issues.
Yeah.
And we like to sweep them under the rug and don't deal with them. So,
Shameless
so
plug.
if you come under here, understand that there
come
may be
under
some
here.
things, some positions, or some questions that get put to you that may make you a bit uncomfortable, but it's necessary in order for us to have progress in this nation.
And shine light.
Yes,
Yeah.
because if you continue to ignore it and stick your head in the sand, we only can continue to have these issues, and Gail gonna have to keep going in the hood where they lining off chairs and everybody smoking joint on the road.
Wow.
So we got to deal with these issues. This is where we deal with the issues.
Yeah.
We do it every week. Under the Rug Podcast. Please like it on Facebook. Go on SoundCloud, the podcast, all the episodes up there. Thank you again, guys, for taking part. And until next time, stop being a hypocrite and do better in life, man.
Jesus. That's the end for this one?
No, I just said I want this time.
Oh! I was like, my God.
I need to make that the end of
You
it.
go from entrepreneur
Dope. Very
to
dope.
what is, oh, say it now, I done lost it.